Chapter 71 Gift Skills. You are listening at novelfull.audio. He tapped his fingers on the ring, and a small jade bottle appeared in Xiao Yan's hand. This thing is not a highly poisonous thing, but once it attacks, it is definitely not something that the great fighter can resist. It seems. I can't do it without eating. Rob's cheek stiffened slightly. Xiao Yan smiled and said, "This is just a simple precautionary measure. I will put the antidote in my brother's hands in batches. As long as you don't play any tricks, you will be fine." Taking the jade bottle, Rob swallowed the black pill inside without much hesitation. Such a young second-grade alchemist with such abilities might become a being at the level of Alchemy King Furukawa in the future. This is more promising than him being the leader of the Sand Mercenary Group. At this moment, a group of people quickly came from a distance. The young man in white robes at the head looked at the mercenaries who had stopped fighting and couldn't help but be a little surprised. Xiao Li smiled and shouted to the visitor, "Brother, your support came too late. Xiao Yanzi has already eliminated the Sand Mercenary Group." Little Yanzi. Xiao Ding was shocked, but also overjoyed. Turning over and dismounting, Xiao Ding came to Xiao Yan in a few steps. He stared at the young man who was almost as tall as himself. There was a touch of endearment and tenderness in his eyes, and he smiled and said, "You have grown taller again. Brother is becoming more and more handsome and handsome." Xiao Yan smiled. Xiao Ding glanced at the corpses lying on the ground. The strong smell of blood here will soon attract monsters and snake people in the desert. Let's go back to Stone Desert City first before talking. Brother, I still have a friend waiting for me. You guys go ahead and I will catch up soon. Xiao Yan jumped up to the camel horse Xiao Ding was riding, clamped his legs and ran towards the horse. The little medical fairy. Before leaving, Xiao Yan remembered that the short knife in his hand had not been returned to Xuelan, so he threw it away. With a whoosh, the short knife cut through the air and fell into the scabbard tied to Xuelan's slender jade legs. This knife is dull. Go back and change the handle to a better one. Xuelan lowered her head and looked at the short knife on her long leg. What a precise move. Xiao Ding was shocked by Xiao Yan's move and asked, "Is Xiao Yanzi's strength so strong now?" Xiao Li winked at Xiao Ding. "Did you see that Luobu? That was Xiao Yanzi who beat him." Looking at the ferocious blood marks on Rob's chest, Xiao Ding's heart skipped a beat. This was a strong man at the level of a great fighting master. Looking at Xiao Yan's disappearing figure, Xiao Ding muttered, "Little Yanzi's strength is getting more and more terrifying." After picking up the little medical fairy, Xiao Yan galloped towards the direction of Shimo City. Compared with the cities within the empire, the cities in the desert are a bit more simple and heavy, due to its proximity to the Tagar Desert. The defense here is much tighter than within the empire. In the city, heavily armed patrol soldiers can be seen everywhere. After entering the Modi mercenary group and settling in with the little medical immortal, Xiao Yan talked about some of the purposes of his trip with his eldest brother and second brother. "It turns out that I'm afraid that the little medical fairy girl will not be taken care of during her training." Xiao Li recalled the appearance of the little medical fairy and smiled. "She is indeed a beauty. I'm afraid she won't be inferior to cousin Suner in the future." Xiao Yan smiled slightly. This was the main purpose of bringing the little medical fairy here. After all, the little medical fairy is a girl in her early 10 years, and boring training is not good for her growth. The second step was to give the two brothers some fighting skills and to see if Qin Lin had appeared. I met the little medical fairy during my training. She is proficient in medical skills. In her spare time from training, she can also help the mercenary group treat the wounded. Xiao Li smiled slightly. Now with your help, the Modi mercenary group will be able to unite the mercenaries of Shimo City in a short time. Taking care of a little girl is nothing. His third brother is good at everything, but he's a bit young and romantic. I have lived in a world of makeup and powder since I was a child. Now that I have grown up, it seems that my habits since childhood have not changed. Experience? Xiao Ding looked at the badge of the second-grade alchemist on Xiao Yan's chest and said in surprise, "Xiao Yanzi, how come you have become an alchemist, and you are still a second-grade alchemist?" Xiao Yan shrugged, "I worshipped an unscrupulous teacher. It's hard to explain. But... Xiao Yan smiled slightly and twisted the ring with his fingers. Xiao Yan took out 2 scrolls with rather simple covers and placed them lightly on the wooden table. These are 2 volumes of advanced Xian level exercises. 1 wood and 1 thunder. Their attributes are just in line with yours. The exercises are also matched with a set of advanced Xian level fighting skills. When the 2 work together, the power cannot be underestimated. Hearing this, Xiao Ding and Xiao Li's slightly drunken eyes suddenly lit up. Just a single Xian level advanced skill is a priceless treasure in the Jiamai Empire, not to mention that it also has matching fighting skills. Calculated in this way, the value of this technique is undoubtedly more precious than other techniques of the same level. It seems that Xiao Yanzi really has an incredible teacher. Xiao Ding, who knew Xiao Yan's temperament, did not refuse Xiao Yan's gift and reached out to take his own technique in his hand. Xiao Li had already started playing with it and laughed. Today I not only annexed the Sand Mercenary Group, but also obtained Xian-level advanced martial arts fighting skills. It is really worth celebrating, drinking and drinking. The next day, when Xiao Yan opened his eyes from the hangover, he found that it was already bright. Not long after Xiao Yan opened his eyes, the door was suddenly pushed open gently, and a graceful figure slowly walked over. Is it Qin Lin? Xiao Yan turned his head and looked, but found that the person coming was not what he thought, but the mercenary Xiao Lan whom he had met yesterday. The tall and delicate figure was wearing a short black leather jacket, with a pair of proud curves protruding from her chest, because the leather jacket is quite short, just reaching the navel. The smooth and flat waist, which is not enough to be grasped, is perfectly displayed, making it extremely eye-catching. The woman's lower body is also a short tight black leather skirt, and she wears a slender short knife on her long and tight legs. Her image is like a female leopard in a forest, full of excitement. Explosive and wild, she tidied her slightly curly hair with her jade hands, and Xiao Lan pursed her jade lips and said, "Master Xiao Yan, during this period of time, I will be your personal maid. If you need anything, feel free to ask me." Xiao Yan sighed in his heart and stretched out his hand towards Xiao Lan. After waiting for a long time, Xiao Yan realized that Xiao Lan was still standing there numbly, this half-hearted maid. Xiao Yan had no choice but to put on a black robe and wash his face with water. "Where are my eldest brother and second brother?" The 2 captains went out early in the morning. Xiao Lan said with a smile. Yao Lao reminded, "Have you forgotten? Or you asked the 2 brothers to collect the materials." Chapter 72, Enlightenment, Burning Star Technique. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xiao Yan patted his forehead and suddenly remembered some things from last night. Stone Desert City is close to the Tagore Desert, and the mercenaries also have a huge demand for healing medicine. Alchemists rarely come to places like the border where living conditions are extremely difficult, and the materials they collect will only be resold and eventually shipped to the inland. Therefore, the material price will be much cheaper. Take me for a walk around Stone Desert City. Xiao Yan thought for a moment and said to Xiao Lan, 2 of the 3 goals of this trip have been completed, and the only thing left is to find Qin Lin. Wait for me and I'll pour out the water. Xiao Lan ran towards the door with the basin in her hand. After a while, the 2 walked out of the Modi mercenary group and wandered around Stone Desert City. Due to the merger of the Sand Mercenary Group into the Desert Iron Mercenary Group and the transfer of personnel, the flow of people in Stone Desert City today is much greater than before. Xiao Yan didn't care about these capable mercenaries, but paid more attention to the beggars begging on the street. Occasionally, I would look at the medicinal materials and magic cores on the stalls to see if I could find any treasures. Near the Tagore Desert, there are occasional incidents of human women being abused by snake men. According to common sense, snake people generally do not get pregnant when they have a relationship with humans. However, nothing is guaranteed. There is always an extremely rare chance that a woman who has a relationship with a snake person will become pregnant and give birth to a child. However, although they can give birth to children, it is generally difficult for such babies to live longer than 2 years old with the blood of humans and snakes. With this characteristic, if Qin Lin appears, Xiao Yan will easily detect it. However, it was very regrettable that Xiao Yan spent a day wandering around Stone Desert City and did not find any half-snake that could grow as big as Qin Lin. When Xiao Yan returned to his room in the evening, he quickly figured it out. since Qing Lin can be born and survive, he naturally has a mother. The information only said that the baby had a hard time surviving, but did not say that the mother died directly. Perhaps, Qing Lin is still being raised by her mother and can barely afford food and clothing. In this case, trying to find such a person in Stone Desert City is like looking for a needle in a haystack. After all, the offspring of snake people and humans are extremely hated by people, and no mother would easily reveal the identity of her child. The Qing Lin matter can only be taken slowly. Now Shimo City is under the control of the Modi mercenary group. Once it appears, it can be locked immediately. There was nothing Xiao Yan could do about this matter that had no specific time. After getting rid of the distracting thoughts in his mind, Xiao Yan started practicing with his legs crossed. The stars in the night sky of Stone Desert City are extremely bright, and the practice of 3,000 stars Ju is very smooth. With the operation of this technique, Xiao Yan relied on his own training experience to connect this technique with the Great Burning Technique. Speaking of which, the practice of the 3,000 stars technique is to gather the power of the stars to condense 3,000 flames. It can be regarded as a specific method of the Great Burning Technique to condense the alien fire. More than half a month later, your experience in practicing the 3,000 stars technique and the Great Burning Star technique continues to increase. You have an epiphany, and you understand the Burning Star technique. The Burning Star technique combines the characteristics of the 3,000 stars technique and the Great Burning Technique. It is a technique that can absorb the power of stars and condense the 3,000 flames. Moreover, the further improvement of the technique has allowed the Burning Star technique to reach the intermediate Xian level. A muffled buzzing sound came from Xiao Yan's body. The technique he cultivated was upgraded to the Burning Star technique. Xiao Yan's absorption of the energy of the world was just a bit more terrifying, and wisps of gray silk threads condensed from the air. In addition, there is a trace of more intense silver star power that is integrated into Xiao Yan's body. The initial evolution of Burn Ju is to consume powerful alien flames to upgrade. Whether it is animal fire or strange fire, the more terrifying the energy it possesses, the greater the upgrade will be. This is also an important reason why the devouring alien fire ranking at the top of the rankings, Burning Ju will be greatly promoted. From the fact that Emperor Yan ranks first on the alien fire list, we can know that the ranking on this list appears after Burning Ju. The ranking order of various strange fires depends on their power, not anything else. The second fallen heart flame near the soul body of Lord Tianhua and the strange fire in the strange fire square of Tuasha Ancient Emperor's Cave cannot be used for the Burning Ju to advance. Because those strange fires are extremely weak and have thin energy. However, with his incredible understanding, the upgrade route of Xiao Yan's technique is much broader. With his heaven-defying understanding, he can create a technique that is even more powerful than the burning technique, and the initial level of the new burning technique exceeds the lower level of the yellow level. Use the heaven-defying understanding to self-condensate the strange fire. After some cultivation, this strange fire can also be of great use, making the technique evolve significantly. Finally, there is the most traditional plan of swallowing alien flames. The burning star technique circulated for a moment, and the power of the stars gathered for many days condensed into a purple air current. This is the prototype of the 3,000 flames flame. Multiple such highly concentrated purple airflows are the seeds of the 3,000 flames flame. The purple air flow is attached to the periphery of Xiao Yan's black and white fighting spirit. After every operation of the technique, the purple brilliance will become richer, making Xiao Yan's fighting spirit appear magnificent. After practicing for half an hour, when he could no longer absorb the power of the stars, Xiao Yan slowly exhaled a breath of turbid air, and the corners of his mouth curved slightly. In this way, he only needs to focus on the cultivation of fighting spirit and soul power as before. At this time, the little bird next to Yao Lao slowly spoke and reminded, "But it's almost the day when Utan City will deliver the coagulation powder. We have to hurry up." Xiao Yan got out of bed and picked up a ring on the table. It contained materials that the two brothers had been searching for half a month, the treasures collected by many mercenary groups in Shimo City for many years and purchased with all their strength by the Modi mercenary group were so large and the medicinal materials were so precious that even Yafei could not raise them in a short time. There are so many fire attribute medicinal materials, magic cores, and the upgrades of Xianhuang Yan and Yin Yang Flame. There is hope. And there are also 3 materials for qi gathering powder. I hope my luck is not too bad. Xiao Yan rubbed his hands, instantly took out the medicine cauldron from his neji, and began to prepare the qi gathering powder for the little medical fairy to use when breaking through the Dou Qi. Yao Lao flapped his wings and flew into the air. Qi gathering powder is not an ordinary elixir. A normal 4th level alchemist's success rate is generally less than 50%. Xiao Yan naturally knew the difficulty of refining this qi gathering powder. It is said that even the 6th grade alchemist King Furukawa only has a 70% success rate. However, with his incredible understanding, Xiao Yan's mastery of the qi gathering powder prescription has already reached a perfect level, coupled with the powerful strange fire and fire control abilities. It is not too difficult to refine a 4th grade qi gathering powder, it's just that there is a certain test for the consumption of fighting spirit. Yao Lao soon saw Xiao Yan's genius in refining medicine. With such a powerful fire control ability, Yao Lao believed that if Xiao Yan had enough fighting spirit, it would be very possible to refine a 5th grade elixir. Chapter 73 Return to Utan City. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 7 days later, Xiao Yan consumed all the materials collected by the Modi mercenary group for half a month. The basic materials were refined into enough coagulating blood powder and burning blood powder. The high-end materials were refined into the 3-flower fire-gathering liquid that he needed to use in his own cultivation, and the qi-gathering powder that the little medical fairy and others needed to use when they broke through the Dou Qi. 3 qi-gathering powder materials were used. To successfully refine 3 qi-gathering powders, such a terrifying talent made the Yao Lao stunned for a while. After refining these materials, Xiao Yan, under the leadership of Yao Lao, quickly left Shimo City and returned to his family. If you want to obtain beast fire in large quantities in the Jiama Empire, you will need the efforts of the Mitre family behind Yafei. However, it was already evening when he returned to his family. Xiao Yan did not rush to deliver the medicine, but decided to have a good sleep first. Refining medicine for a long time really made him mentally exhausted. Low snores came vaguely from Xiao Yan's nose. While Xiao Yan was sleeping, the special spiritual energy in the air rippled, like a gentle flow, pouring into Xiao Yan's eyebrows. The pure energy not only relieved Xiao Yan's tired body and mind, but also quietly strengthened his soul. During this process, Xiao Yan's breath resonated deeply. With the aura in the air, with the influx of spiritual energy, Xiao Yan's soul power was like a butterfly emerging from a cocoon, stepping into the intermediate level of the mortal realm. He didn't know how long he slept for, but Xiao Yan only remembered that when he woke up, the warm sunshine had already illuminated the room extremely brightly. Xiao Yu. Why is she here? But when Xiao Yan woke up, he instantly felt a pair of sexy and slender legs. Immediately, a woman with a slim figure and attractive curves appeared in his mind. No, this scene is still a long way from my courtyard. Xiao Yan raised his hand and rubbed his nose. There was a hint of surprise in his soft laughter. My soul power has broken through to the intermediate level of the mortal realm. That at such an age, the soul power has broken through to the intermediate level of the mortal realm. In the entire Dou Qi Continent, it is definitely a rare existence. You must know that the soul realm of alchemists below the 8th level is mostly around the mortal realm. After getting excited, Xiao Yan shook his head slightly. If he specializes in soul power, his current soul level will inevitably be even more exaggerated, but the early cultivation of fighting spirit took too long. In the future, the cultivation of fighting spirit and the polishing of the physical body are all necessary to share the energy. However, there is no way around it. If you want to swallow the strange fire, you have to improve it in all aspects. If you have good fighting spirit and physical training, you can withstand the impact of strange fire without dying. If your soul is strong, you can stay awake as much as possible, which greatly increases the chance of success. However, this may not be the case for others. While Xiao Yan was thinking, Xiao Yu walked into the room with her slender and sexy legs. She looked around the room, then locked onto Xiao Yan, who was lying on the bed, and stepped forward. Young master, do you need a big sedan chair to treat you to dinner? Looking at Xiao Yu, whose breasts looked plumper because she had her arms folded in front of her, Xiao Yan stretched out his arms and immediately pulled her onto the bed. Xiao Yan turned around and pressed down Xiao Yu's sexy long legs. He chuckled and said, the person who invited the 8-carriage sedan chair is someone else. Being pinned down by Xiao Yan in such a shameful position, as if he was being used as a pillow. Xiao Yu's head felt a little dizzy. After a moment, Xiao Yu's pretty face turned a tantalizing blush, and she struggled violently. "Little pervert, let me go." However, her strength, which is not even a fighter, is not at the same level as Xiao Yan. "Sleep a little longer, I haven't woken up yet." Xiao Yan adjusted to a comfortable position and showed no intention of moving. With a puppet that automatically refines coagulation powder, and 2 sales channels in Wutan City and Shimo City, the resource supply will be quite stable. Next, we need to seriously think about the cultivation of the little medical fairy's poisonous body. The poisonous body of disaster is an untimely bomb. Xiao Yan also needs to think carefully if he wants to use cultivation techniques to replace the poisonous elixir method. You must know that the conditions for achieving this poison elixir method are extremely difficult. One is 3 different kinds of fire, the other is the demon core of the 7th level sky poison scorpion dragon beast, and the third is the saliva of the bodhisattva. Each of them is extremely rare, but now Xiao Yan needs to use martial arts to replace the poisonous elixir method, which is far more difficult than the poisonous elixir method that requires the use of external objects, and it will probably only take less than half a year before the little medical fairy breaks through and becomes a fighter. Before completing this huge project, Xiao Yan was going to take a break for himself and degenerate a little bit. After struggling fiercely for a while, and confirming that he was not on the same level as Xiao Yan, Xiao Yu exhaled like a blue breath and said, "The rest of the family are still waiting." "What's the matter? You have to call me." Xiao Yan suddenly opened his eyes and blinked in confusion. Under normal circumstances, he does not need to come forward. "How do I know?" Feeling a light touch on her body, Xiao Yu turned over, and her back, perky buttocks, and sexy slender long legs suddenly extended into an extremely alluring curve. Tapping his fingers on the ring, Xiao Yan immediately took out a jade bottle and sat up slowly. "I won't tease you anymore." This jade bottle contains qi gathering powder, which can allow you to directly break through and become a fighter. Although Xiao Yu's qualifications have been nurtured for many years, condensing the Dou Qi cyclone will not fail, but without this qi gathering powder and relying on his hard training, it will take a long time to accumulate the energy needed for a breakthrough. Gathering qi and powdering. Xiao Yu's beautiful eyes suddenly widened a bit, and her eyes couldn't help but become hot. "The family has made profits from selling these 4th-grade elixirs for several months." Xiao Yan smiled slightly. "I didn't use it when I broke through." "Put it away quickly and don't let others know." Xiao Yusu neatly put it into her sleeves. Seeing Xiao Yan stretching out his hands to dress the young master, Xiao Yu picked up the black robe on the side with a blushing face and gently dressed him neatly. The black robe, as deep as the night, shines with a mysterious luster in the sunlight. Xiao Yan's delicate face carries an otherworldly elegance and aloofness, and his bright eyes are like a deep lake. "She looks quite good." Xiao Yu spat lightly. While arranging Xiao Yan's black hair, she accidentally saw the flame mark that seemed to be beating under Xiao Yan's black hair. Her beautiful eyes tightened. "You have a tattoo? Let's go quickly, don't keep people waiting." Xiao Yan straightened his black hair, covered up the flame mark, and pulled Xiao Yu out of the room. While walking, Xiao Yan thought to himself, he must find a way to get some kind of seal to cover up the flames. But, what happened at home? Could it be that Nalan Yanran is coming? This is too early. Chapter 74 Yafei's Powerful Qualifications, page 12. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 74 Yafei's Powerful Qualifications. Why have you been gone for so long? Qin Yueyao looked at the 2 people who had arrived belatedly, and looked at Xiao Yan with her beautiful eyes. Is this kid still dreaming now? Xiao Yu bit her red lips lightly. How could she explain what happened just now? It's nothing. Cousin Xiao Yu is about to break through and become a fighter. She talked about some cultivation matters. Xiao Yan smiled and pulled Xiao Yu to sit casually on the 2 empty seats next to Suner. Qin Yueyao looked at Xiao Yu's figure. Her legs were quite long, and she was a few years older than Yener, but she was still too young to tell whether she was still pregnant. Seeing Xiao Yan enjoying the meal, Suner's watery eyes suddenly widened a bit, and she lowered her voice and said, "Brother Xiao Yan, have you achieved a breakthrough and become a strong fighting master?" Although he had long known That Xiao Yan was extremely talented. He never expected that his cultivation speed would be so fast. It only took about a month for him to reach the level of a fighter from a fighter. Such a cultivation speed is rare even among ancient families. It's just a fluke. Xiao Yan chuckled, looking at the two people whispering. Qingyao had a trace of sadness between her brows. Suner is definitely the most outstanding girl she has ever seen, but her background is much higher than that of the Xiao family, which is somewhat whimsical. After a meal, Xiao Yan realized that he was overthinking and it was not Naylan Yanran who was here. It turned out that it was Yafei, the goblin, who spread the Ningzusen business among the three major families in Wutan City. Mitre Auction House is responsible for providing the coagulation powder, allowing the three major families to give full play to the market under their control to sell the coagulation powder. Today is the day when Yafei comes to collect the profits from the coagulation powder. Think about it, this is also a very reasonable plan. Middle's auction house focuses on high-priced auction items. If you start the business of coagulating blood powder and be blocked by a group of mercenaries every day, the auction business will definitely be damaged. It would be like losing a watermelon and picking up sesame seeds. After the meal, some juniors left one after another, and Xiao Yan went to the reception hall of the Xiao family with Xiao Yan and other elders. Xiao Yan, who was leaning on the back of his chair and waiting for Yafei's arrival, couldn't help but think of a more charming creature, Medusa of the snake tribe. Collect more ice spirit cold spring. Next time we meet, I will not only get the alien fire green lotus earth core fire, but also double it. This double strange fire is naturally not the inner fire of two green lotuses, but there are two different kinds of strange fire, Qinglian earth core fire and bone spirit cold fire. Since she was not an alchemist and had far less information than the Yao Lao, Medusa violently obtained the Qinglian earth core fire and adopted a very extravagant method of sealing it, that was a full pool of ice spirit cold spring. According to the 1-to-1 ratio between the ice spirit cold spring and the associated amethyst source, that is enough associated amethyst source for a pool of water. If Amethyst Winged Lion were to take it, it would be very possible for him to directly evolve from the 4th level to the 6th level. Such abundant ice spirit cold spring resources are undoubtedly the best materials for making bone spirit cold fire. This is also an important reason why Xiao Yan is not in a hurry to enter the Tagore Desert. While he was thinking, a sweet laughter that made people feel numb in their bones crept into the hall. Giggles, Patriarch Xiao has gained a lot recently. What followed was a graceful body that slowly appeared in everyone's field of vision. Walking towards her was a woman wearing a red robe. A tight-fitting red cheongsam covered her exquisite and plump curves, and her water snake-like waist swayed into a coveted graceful arc. At the hem of the cheongsam, a slit extends straight to the thigh. When walking, the white snow dazzles the eyes, and the spring light is looming, which is sultry. Xiao Zhan stood up with a smile and said polite words. Miss Yafei really loves to joke, and thanks to Mitre Auction House providing coagulation powder, a healing medicine that mercenaries like, we are now making a fortune together. Giggle, Chief Xiao is really good at talking. The amount of coagulation powder provided by Mitre to the three major families is the same, but the popularity of Jiafeng City exceeds that of the other two major families. This is a fact that everyone has seen with their own eyes, which is enough to illustrate the ability of Patriarch Xiao. Yafei saluted the three elders in the hall with a smile. Her beautiful eyes blinked slightly, her seductive eyes slowly moved to Xiao Yan who was standing aside, and she was slightly startled. I heard that young Master Xiao Yan has already broken through and become a fighter. He reached the level of a fighter at the age of 11. It is almost certain that he will become a strong fighter in the future. Xiao Yan had always lived in seclusion, and Yafei had only met her once or twice, so she couldn't help but look at her a few more times, thinking that she had yet to break through the doja in her 20s. Yafei couldn't help but sigh. Oh, it's really annoying to compare people to each other. Sister Yafei, just call me by my name, and forget about this young master. Xiao Yan smiled seemingly innocently. He is not young at all. Hearing this, Yafei smiled. Xiao Yan was indeed taller than his peers. She is a good childbearer, but her qualifications are too poor. Qingyao also looked at Yafei, but she also had some flaws. Breakthrough fighter, that was more than a month ago. Now that her little monkey has broken through and become a fighting master, when selecting someone for him, one must naturally consider their qualifications. Although Xiao Yan had been engaged to the Nalan family for a long time, since the old man recovered from his serious injury and retired to focus on cultivation, the Xiao family has completely given up the development plan of moving the holy city of Gama. The Xiao family and the Nalan family have not had any contact for many years, and the engagement is almost in name only. Moreover, Qin Yueyao only heard that her daughter-in-law, whom she had never met, had good talent, but knew nothing about her appearance. Qin Yueyao thought that it would be more reassuring to see her son's daughter-in-law in person. Pursing her red lips, Yafei elegantly sat down on the chair next to Xiao Yan, and went straight to the point with a chuckle. Chief Xiao, how do you feel about the sales of Ningzusen? Xiao Zhan did not rush to elaborate, but twisted the ring with his fingers, took out a crystal card, and asked Xiao Yan to pass it to Yafei. This is the deserved part of Mitre Auction House. Xiao Yan shrugged helplessly, stood up and walked towards his father. Are you letting me reveal my identity? At this time, Xiao Zhan talked about the business of coagulation and blood dispersion. The coagulation powder is of high quality and can quickly restore mercenaries' injuries. The mercenary groups like it very much, so the demand is huge. The Xiao family also tried its best to control it, so there was no riot. Smiling tenderly at Xiao Yan, Yafei took the crystal card from Xiao Yan's hand, but her pretty face suddenly changed slightly. A pair of beautiful eyes stared closely at Xiao Yan's particularly white palm. The black ring and the light red ring made her very sure of Xiao Yan's identity. Looking at Yafei's special gaze, Xiao Yan casually sat next to Yafei without saying anything. However, being like this has already put Yafei under a lot of pressure. Naturally, Yafei did not dare to offend this powerful man who was destined to break through and become the Dou Huang in the future, and the expression on her cheeks was restrained by him. Chapter 75 Promoted to the Great Fighter. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A person's energy is always limited. Xiao Yan's current training tasks are already very heavy, and he does not want to waste more time on management. With a well-informed Yafei, it is natural to make full use of it. After all, after the little medical fairy becomes a fighter, Xiao Yan plans to take him to the Izumo Empire to practice. In the future, the place where Yafei can play a role is far beyond the Jiama Empire. After cultivating such a person who specializes in collecting resources, Xiao Yan focused all his attention on cultivation. With the automatic refining puppet of Ningxue powder, Utan City's need for Ningxue powder is nothing to Xiao Yan. It is worth mentioning that the Gali and Oba families raised the price of blood coagulation powder due to the rarity of the blood coagulation powder, which aroused the disgust of most mercenaries. After a sufficient supply of Ningxue powder was obtained, the Jiaoye family and the Oba family who ate human blood steamed buns were naturally abandoned by the mercenaries. Not only was it impossible to make profits from the Ningxue powder business, but because of its bad reputation, Fengshe's business also fell into a miserable situation. Compared with the desolate market of the two big families, the Xiao family, which kept prices low from the beginning and queued up to get medicine, became increasingly popular. In the end, although the Mitre auction house was still willing to provide blood coagulation powder to the Gali family and the Oba family, without the market, the two families could no longer do this business. Because of Xiao Zhan's initial decision, the Xiao family's influence in Wutan City clearly surpassed that of the Jiaoye family and the Oba family. After Xiao Yan refined the foundation building spiritual liquid several times, he perfectly controlled the temperature of it, and the automatic refining puppet of the foundation building spiritual liquid was created. Mastering the sale of foundation building spiritual liquid, Yafei's authority has been greatly improved. Each month can provide a kind of beast fire, as well as a larger amount of cultivation resources, which accelerates the concentration of Xiao Yan's beast spirit fire, and the power of the black and yellow flames and the yin and yang flames in his body increases significantly. More than 5 months later, in the secret cave in the back mountain of the Xiao family, Xiao Yan sat cross-legged, preparing to break through to the level of a great fighter. Soon after Xiao Yan closed his eyes, the calm space around him began to fluctuate quietly, as if the calm lake surface was broken by a sudden stone thrown in. Wisps of energy flow visible to the naked eye seeped out from the air, like thousands of energy threads, rushing towards Xiao Yan. Once this majestic energy enters Xiao Yan's body, it needs to pass through the black and yellow flames, the yin and yang flames in Xiao Yan's body. And the embryonic spirit fire of all beasts, thousands of energy strands, after passing through these 3 levels, none of them survived. After being refined by Xiao Yan's burning star technique, the condensed energy shrank again. As a result, the amount of energy that can be absorbed by Xiao Yan is actually not much. However, although this number has dropped sharply, it is of infinite benefit to Xiao Yan, because the burning Ju technique has been greatly modified. Xiao Yan's strange fire fighting spirit has always been far higher than the same level. Absorbing such pure fighting spirit, Xiao Yan still maintained his peak level. Based on his foundation, this is clearly demonstrated in Xiao Yan's ability to easily defeat opponents of the same level. Of course, the disadvantage of practicing like Xiao Yan is that it requires more huge and terrifying energy than ordinary people to advance. Over the past 5 months, the energy Xiao Yan had devoured was enough for a fighter to grow to the level of a Dou Huang. However, all this energy is divided into the growth of the Xianhuang flame and the Yin-Yang double flame, and then Xiao Yan's level is improved, which only allows Xiao Yan to break through the great fighter level now. The birth and growth of each type of alien fire takes a long time. The 19th ranked Qinglian Earth Core fire takes 10 years to become a spirit, 100 years to take shape, 1,000 years to become a lotus, and another 100 years to achieve perfection, compared with the Qinglian Earth Core fire that took 1,100 years to fully grow. In Xiao Yan's half-year, from the birth of the Xianhuang flame and the Yin and Yang twin flames to the present, the power of the fusion of the 2 different fires has begun to approach the Qinglian Earth Core fire. The level is already incredible. As time passed slowly, a large amount of heaven and earth energy condensed, and Xiao Yan's whole body was enveloped in gray-brown brilliance. These gray-brown brilliance cover the body, forming the appearance of a Dou Qi gauze. With the passage of practice, these heaven and earth energies are transformed into a real Dou Qi gauze, with a purple halo outside the black and white colors. Immediately afterwards, the fighting spirit gauze began to twist continuously, as if it was constructing and testing something. Faintly, the Dou Qi Shai, which was originally an illusion, actually appeared to have characteristics similar to something substantial. The cyclone of fighting inside the body rotates rapidly, and the energy liquid, which is black and white with a purple halo outside, seems to be approaching the limit of the cyclone's capacity at any time. Just when the cyclone reached the overflowing state, Yao Lao's voice sounded in Xiao Yan's heart very appropriately. Quickly, compress the liquid energy and condense the Dou Jing. Xiao Yan slowly exhaled a breath of turbid air, and his handprints suddenly changed. As Xiao Yan's handprints changed, the cyclone in his body was silent for a moment. After a moment, ripples suddenly began to ripple on the surface of the cyclone. The fluctuations became more and more intense, and in the end, it was almost like boiling water. Goo black and white waves are constantly seeping out from the center of the cyclone. At the moment when the energy ripples fluctuated, the high-speed rotating cyclone reached a new peak. There were circles of black and white arcs around the high-speed rotating cyclone. The whining sound produced by the rotation slowly spreads within the body, and these sounds seem to contain some magical rhythm. It passed through the meridians, penetrated the bones, melted out the cells, and finally reached outside the skin, and passed into the Dou Qi gauze that was constantly twisting on the surface of Xiao Yan's body. After the sound was transmitted into Dou Qi Shai, the twisting of Dou Qi Shai gradually subsided, the black and white light flashed, and the fighting spirit quickly merged and gathered, and finally merged with each other. An instant later, a black and white armor with flame patterns appeared on the surface of Xiao Yan's body. Although it was only a prototype, the deep black and white light and the powerful flow of energy made it clear that it was not comparable to the previous Dou Qi Shai. At the same time, as the cyclone rotates at high speed, the liquid energy decreases at a speed visible to the naked eye, and a faint black and white shadow gradually appears in the center of the cyclone. Time passed slowly, and the liquid energy in the cyclone finally bottomed out, and a diamond-shaped crystal only the size of a thumb emerged. It is generally black and white in color, with a black-yellow flame beating inside, and a purple halo glowing around the crystal. This is the key thing of the great Dou Master, Dou Jing. In the eyes of many strong men, only after possessing Dou Jing can one truly enter the palace of Dou Qi cultivation. This little thing is the crystallization of all the fighting energy in a person's body, and it contains a staggering amount of energy. As the Dou Qi was greatly compressed, the temperatures of the Xianhuang flame and the Yin-Yang flame not only did not decrease due to the reduction in volume, but instead became even hotter. The further powerful alien fire allowed Xiao Yan's skills to start a new round of advancement. Chapter 76 Evolution, Advanced Mysterious Level. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On the stone bed of the cave, Xiao Yan sat cross-legged, his eyes closed tightly, and waves of terrifying high temperature continued to spread from his body. Faintly, some black and white flames burst out from the fighting spirit armor on his body, and the flames twined around and wrapped the whole body of armor. Xiao Yan's expression was extremely calm. At this moment, his mind was completely immersed in the operation of the burning star art. The power of the compressed alien fire within the Dou Qi cyclone has once again increased. If the power of the fusion of the two different fires was comparable to a one-star Dou Huang before, now it has reached at least 2 stars. Of course, there is still a big gap between this and the wild Qinglian earth core fire. However, the evolution of Xiao Yan's kung fu was not entirely dependent on strange fire. He also had a heaven-defying understanding. Moreover, in Xiao Yan's body, in addition to the strange fire that merged with the black and yellow flames and the yin and yang flames, Nailing also had a rudimentary form of the beast spirit fire. As the alien fire was gradually compressed, the temperature in the cave became higher and higher. At the end, some of the stone tables and chairs in the cave gradually melted and turned into liquids that slowly dripped and flowed in the quiet room. Occasionally, bubbles appeared and burst quietly, causing a slight muffled sound. Nearly half of the stone bed melted under such high temperature, but Xiao Yan, who was sitting cross-legged in the center, knew nothing about it. Yao Lao used the bone spirit cold fire to protect his puppet bird body, otherwise with the current temperature, his body would probably turn into a puddle of molten iron. With the terrifying temperature of this cave now, even ordinary Dou Huang warriors would not dare to stay for long. The violent energy in the air, if inhaled into the body, would be enough to cause the fighting spirit in their bodies to riot. What's going on? Could it be that the spiritual fire of all beasts has been condensed? Yao Lao looked at Xiao Yan in shock and speculated. Although it is said that once the strange fire comes out, all fires surrender, surpass all fires, and are more powerful than the strange fires, there is a difference between beast fire and beast fire. If it is high-quality beast fire, more than 10,000 kinds of beast fire are not needed. However, with the quality of the low-level beast fires Xiao Yan has used recently, it seems too unbelievable to want to condense the beast's spiritual fire. Xiao Yan was completely unaware of Yao Lao's shock at this time. At this time, his breathing was steady and his mind was completely immersed in enlightenment. The hot air that would turn an ordinary person into ashes in one breath is like 2 air dragons, flowing continuously into the body along his nostrils, in order to create a suitable technique for the little medical immortal's poisonous body. Xiao Yan has been reading many cultivation books in addition to daily practice in the past half-year. The first thing to bear the brunt is the scroll of the poison pill method and the specific records of the poison body, which are the most direct information about the poison body. Secondly, there are some advanced cultivation techniques, some medicinal prescriptions below the 7th level, as well as some miscellaneous knowledge about heaven, earth, treasures and anecdotes. The reason why Xiao Yan only reads prescriptions at levels below 7th grade is because reading prescriptions uses soul power. The more advanced the prescription, the greater the soul power required. Reading a prescription that is too advanced will not have much benefit for the time being, but will affect the normal state of cultivation. Such a short half-year's study accumulation may be a long experience for ordinary people, but for Xiao Yan, who has incredible understanding, it can be said to be of great help. It turns out that for some vague ideas about cultivation, after reading the experiences of predecessors in Dou Qi Continent, I have a certain measure of my own ideas. Now at this appropriate time, these accumulations have turned into the support and motivation for Xiao Yan's enlightenment. In a situation like Xiao Yan's sitting state, the concept of time between practices also became extremely blurred. After about 2 days, the power of the strange fire in your body has increased, coupled with the experience of practicing the burning star technique and the foundation of your own cultivation insights, you have an epiphany, and your burning star technique has advanced to the advanced level of the mysterious level. Xuanjia Advanced Edition Burning Star Technique. The dual result of the growth of strange fire in the body and the blessing of understanding cannot be directly used on the second person. As the technique evolved, the fighting energy in Xiao Yan's body suddenly began to move in a more complex route. the fiery and violent energy that filled the cave was absorbed by Xiao Yan like a wave at this time. With the speed of Xian-level advanced skills training, it was completely absorbed by Xiao Yan in a short time. Immediately afterwards, Xiao Yan absorbed the energy of heaven and earth. Yao Lao took a closer look, and was shocked beyond measure when he saw that Xiao Yan was absorbing the energy of the world at a more terrifying speed than before. Is the Burning Dew technique so easy to evolve? You know, it has only been about half a year since Xiao Yan started practicing the technique. With the speed of evolution of Xiao Yan's skills and the speed of his strength improvement, it would not take more than a few years to reach a level comparable to his peak strength. After improving his strength and evolving his skills, Xiao Yan did not wake up immediately, but continued to practice, absorbing the energy of heaven and earth. It fills the mark of fire between the eyebrows. 2 flowers bloomed, one on the outside. Just when Xiao Yan was concentrating on practicing, the undercurrent of the Jiama Empire surged. Within the extremely dark hall, several groups of black mist gathered. Among the black mist, the one in the center of the hall was the densest. There was a buzz, the air suddenly trembled, and the black mist suddenly burst out with 2 scarlet rays of light. He looked directly at the black mist below. Have you investigated clearly? That a sinister laughter erupted from within the small black mist. Jie, Lord Protector, my subordinates have fully investigated and found out that there is indeed an alchemist of at least a 4th grade level in Utan City, where healing medicines are sold in large quantities. Although this 4th grade alchemist has cooperation with Mitre Auction House, it is only a purely transactional relationship. If such a casual alchemist suddenly disappears, it will not arouse too many people's suspicions. The bird protector smiled coldly. If that's the case, then go ahead. This time, collecting soul bodies is secondary. The most important task is to investigate the Xiao family in Utan City. This Xiao family had a strong Douwan warrior a few years ago. Maybe it is the family we are searching for in the Soul Palace. As he said this, Guardian Bird's voice deepened. Remember, it's just an investigation, don't alert the enemy. The Soul Envoy responded very simply, Master Protector, don't worry. The Soul Palace has always selected some souls that remained after the death of the alchemist and strong man with no background like the one in Utan City, so it probably didn't cause any big trouble. Let's leave it at that. I am already looking forward to the good show in a few years. Along with a burst of Jie's laughter, the black mist fluctuated for a while, and then gradually became illusory. After a while, it completely dissipated in the main hall. Regardless of whether the Xiao family in Utan City was searched by the Soul Palace or not, Guardian Wu has been preparing to cultivate Yunshan first in recent years. When the time comes, he will harvest a large number of outstanding souls from a sect headed by a strong man from the Dou sect. If he brings that thing with him, this trip to the Jiama Empire will be enough for him to return with a full load. Chapter 77 Soul Palace Soul Envoy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When the scene came, the sky was hazy, and occasionally a cloud drifted by, which was also extremely dark. As the night gets cooler, the chirping of insects becomes even more silent, the breeze blows gently, and the leaves rustle. In the cave, the molten stone tables and chairs had already cooled down. Xiao Yan, who was like an old monk in trance, slowly opened his eyes, feeling the incomparable power in his body, with a satisfied smile on his lips. Great fighter, 1 star. That the cyclone of Xian-level advanced skills can only slightly match the many powerful fighting skills he possesses. Moreover, the fighting energy stored in the flame seal far exceeds the fighting energy in the cyclone. Slowly exhaling a breath of turbid air, Xiao Yan couldn't help but think of the primary flame god that he had used once, that day, against Dou Haibudong, who was performing advanced Xian-level fighting skills. All the stored fighting energy was exhausted in one blow. Today's fighting spirit has increased significantly. If he fights Shanghai Budong again, it will definitely not be like that day. You recalled the elementary flame god, and experienced the Dou Qi gauze and Dou Qi armor personally. You had an epiphany, and you understood the secret method of the intermediate flame god. Intermediate flame god, cooperate with the special secret of the flame seal to adjust the energy of the flame seal to condense a giant that contains flame fighting spirit like a flesh and blood body. After taking a look at the mess of the cave, Xiao Yan sighed silently, counting the time. the little medical fairy is about to break through to the fighter level. No matter what, I have been practicing here since I was a child, and I will inevitably feel a little regretful that I will never be able to use this training place again, Yao Lao on the side said, although this little guy's breakthrough has some twists and turns. It took half a year to break through to the level of a great fighter. Even I have only seen such a terrifying speed in my life. Xiao Yan waved his hand. What Yao Lao thought was completely different from what he thought. Moreover, even if they are practicing on the first level, there are great differences between the two. Yao Lao's cultivation vision is only in this Dou Qi Continent, but he has already set his sights on the world, and the key to it is strange fire. The original burning technique is most suitable for cultivating strange fires. If each kind of strange fire has spiritual intelligence and is willing to put in effort, it can reach the level of Dou Emperor. With his heaven-defying understanding, he came up with some plans to cultivate each kind of strange fire, so that when he enters the world in the future, he will have a very high starting point. After patting the dust on his body, Xiao Yan slowly stood up. The cultivation resources have been exhausted. It's time to find Yafei to take the things for the moon. What am I? It turns out that you, little guy, thought of Mitre little girl. Yao Lao chuckled, don't let anyone die. Xiao Yan shrugged helplessly, it was getting more and more outrageous. Teacher, please stay here. It is estimated that the little medical fairy will be promoted to a fighter soon, and then he will go to the Izumo Empire. Yao Lao smiled even more heartily. I just thought of Mitel's little girl, and now I think of the girl in white dress from Shimo City. You little guy is really good. Xiao Yan didn't listen to Yao Lao's joke anymore. He left Xiao's house like a shadow and rushed towards Yafei's residence. After handling the affairs of the auction house, Yafei rode a luxurious carriage to her residence. Not long after she stepped into the palace, Yafei raised her eyebrows and slowly stopped. Who is so bold as to dare to provoke the middle family in the Gemma Empire? Jie, although your strength is not strong, your soul perception is not bad. I didn't expect that you made an extra fortune when you came to Utan City. In the darkness, a creepy laughter suddenly sounded. Amidst this ghostly and strange laughter, a black mist appeared in the courtyard in an extremely strange direction. After Senran Guewu appeared, Yafei couldn't help but frown. What is this group? With her current perception, she can clearly detect that Uncle Guni's strength far exceeds that of a great fighting master. No wonder there is such courage to go against the middle family, Heiwu Jie said with a smile. You are so charming. If you die easily, it would be a waste. If you tell the alchemists information, this soul envoy may be able to spare your life. Yafei practiced the holy demon soul burning technique passed down by Xiao Yan. She was already a charming beauty, and her charming temperament was even better than before, making her look even more beautiful. Today she was wearing a bright red cheongsam, with a golden fluffy shawl on the outside, making her look sparkly. Her delicate body exudes a rich fragrance. Her face is extremely beautiful, with willowy eyebrows and phoenix eyes, and her skin is smooth, as white as jade, and so tender that it seems like you can squeeze out water with just a gentle pinch. Her body is too fat for gaining weight and too thin for losing. Her slender and round legs, paired with red high heels, make her even more sexy, charming and thought-provoking. Soul envoy. Yafei blinked her bright eyes and thought to herself, what kind of force is this? It sounds like a ghost. Yafei folded her hands in front of her and said with a charming smile, I have been in the Gemma Empire for many years and have heard countless stories about various forces, big and small, but I have never heard of where the soul envoy comes from. I wonder if this master soul envoy can give you some introduction. So that Yafei can learn more. The Gemma Empire is nothing in front of our soul palace, and... Heiwu said halfway, suddenly shocked, and looked at Yafei in shock. You actually know the secret technique of the soul. Soul-related exercises and fighting skills are rare and precious things in Zhongzhou. It is really shocking that someone in this small Gemma Empire actually uses them. Yafei secretly thought that it was a pity that this mysterious soul envoy came to Wutan City specifically to find the alchemist. Obviously, he was not looking for the second-grade alchemist Guanai. There were only two real purposes, Xiao Yan and his mysterious master. I really thought that my concubine was easy to bully. Yafei's phoenix eyes stood up, she spread her palms flat, and with a buzzing sound, 2 blazing red flames rose up in her palms. Seeing Yafei's methods, Han Shi smiled even more fiercely. Jia Jia, I didn't expect to find you here. You are also a master. Where did your soul power cultivation technique come from? Hand it over quickly to avoid suffering later. The secret technique practiced by Yafei is invisible to ordinary people, but to him who plays with the soul, it is very clear. Not only is his method extremely brilliant, but the soul power he cultivates is filled with heat. If Yafei has been practicing for a long time and there are more than just Yafei cultivating, she will really be the nemesis of their soul palace soul envoy. If you can hand over this secret method to the protector, it will definitely be a great achievement. Amid the ghostly laughter, a dark iron chain with a deep luster suddenly shot out from the ghostly mist. The speed of the iron chain was extremely terrifying, and it was not far from Yafei almost instantly. The tip of the iron chain was as sharp as a blade, and even had a very strange cold light. Chapter 78 Arriving in Time. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yafei pointed her toes, and suddenly grasped her jade hands. The 2 fireballs in her palms suddenly extended into 2 blazing red swords that looked like jade. With a twist of his wrist, he swung his sword towards the iron chain that was flying towards him. The iron chain made a harsh sound under the blazing red sword energy. Ding! Sparks flew everywhere, and the iron chain broke instantly under the sword, as if it was melted by the high temperature. The broken chain quietly turned into a wisp of black air and disappeared in midair. I really underestimated you. The Soul Palace Soul Envoy exclaimed in surprise. The iron chain trembled suddenly and immediately returned to its original state, like a black snake, exuding a sinister aura. Holy Demon Soul Burning Technique is not an ordinary skill. The strength of aptitude is determined by a woman's appearance. With Yafei's appearance, she is truly a rare genius in practicing this Holy Demon Soul Burning Technique, coupled with the guidance of Xiao Yan, a gold medal teacher. Even though he only practiced for half a year, it was enough to be worth several years of a genius practicing the earth-level fighting chi technique. Therefore, even though Yafei's fighting spirit strength is still at the fighting spirit stage, with the power of her soul, she is no less powerful than an ordinary great fighting master. The soul envoy of the Soul Palace was quite furious that he could not defeat such a little girl. As if being summoned by it, a large amount of black aura quickly gathered from all directions and turned into several lifelike giant snake shadows. These snake shadows looked fierce and shot straight at Yafei. Yafei's pressure doubled. There were too many snake shadows in front of her, and their speed was too fast. Even though the 2 swords in her hands slashed like clouds in flowing water, they could not stop the defeat. Just a few breaths later, the mouth of the snake opened wide, seeming to scream darkness and death, and rushed towards Yafei. At the moment when countless crazy black shadow snakes were about to swallow Yafei, a thick red arm suddenly shot out from a distance, and the speed was still faster than the black shadow snakes. The huge palm grasped Yafei's delicate body first. The giant snake bit the palm and made a hissing sound, as if it had plunged into magma. The Soul Palace Soul Envoy was startled and immediately controlled the black shadow snake to retreat. With just one bite, the giant snake turned into a toothless tiger, no longer as ferocious as before. The duck that reached the mouth became a scalding yam. The Soul Palace Soul Envoy looked around in confusion and said angrily, "Who is that person?" Ignoring these words, Xiao Yan controlled Yan Shen and placed Yafei next to him. "Are you okay?" After saying that, Xiao Yan took out several exquisite jade bottles. Inside these bottles are the healing medicines he carefully crafted. Although the medicines are not as terrifying as the 7th grade elixir, the life-returning pill, they are almost the same when added up. As long as someone didn't directly chop off the head or directly shatter the heart, then these pills can save a person's life. Yafei's face was a little pale and she took a deep breath and shook her head slightly. It's just that the consumption is a bit high. Xiao Yan picked out a jade bottle, poured out a pill the size of a dragon's eye, and said with a smile, "Then take this purple pill, it has a miraculous effect on restoring soul power." Seeing that Xiao Yan, among the flame giants, did not care about his own existence at all, the Soul Palace Soul Envoy felt that he had no face and shouted angrily, "Who are you? How dare you harm my benefits?" Yafei took the elixir and immediately felt a flow of heat pouring into her eyebrows. Her fatigue was greatly reduced, and her complexion quickly became rosy and charming. Leaning in Xiao Yan's arms, Yafei smiled charmingly and said, "Don't you want to find the alchemist? He is right here." "What?" The Soul Palace Soul Envoy was suddenly startled. Such a young fourth-grade alchemist was rare even in Zhongzhou. How could such a genius appear in a remote area like the Jiama Empire? Moreover, this fighting skill is also exquisite and looks extraordinary. Could it be that he is really from that family? Xiao Yan narrowed his eyes slightly. How could this person from the Soul Palace appear in Utan City? He also approached Yafei. Could it be that the activity of selling medicine was so loud that it attracted the attention of the Soul Palace? Looking at the huge blood-red skeleton outside Xiao Yan's body, the thick bones looked extraordinary. The Soul Palace Soul Envoy felt bad, and the black mist body quietly floated backwards. Now that we have discovered that Wutan City is extraordinary, as long as we report it back to the Protector, it will be a great achievement. It seems that your method is quite similar to that of the Soul Palace. I think you are quite talented. Why don't you kowtow to me 9 times now and enter my Soul Palace so that you can understand how big this world is? The devil-like little devil dares to speak nonsense, so let me destroy him. Xiao Yan shouted deeply, and the flame mark between his eyebrows began to beat rhythmically, as if he came to life. With a large amount of energy output, the body of the flame god suddenly underwent earth-shaking changes. Countless muscle fiber-like flame substances emerged, completely covering the flame god's skeleton, completely transforming the flame god into a flame giant. Its figure is tall and mighty, like a hill, exuding violent and powerful energy. The flame god was completely condensed to the intermediate level, and his huge palm slammed into the black mist of the Soul Palace Soul Envoy, fiercely tearing the silent air. The Soul Envoy of the Soul Palace shouted angrily, not daring to neglect at all, and commanded several chained black snakes behind him to move out at once, opening their mouths in an exaggerated manner, and biting hard at the palm that flew towards them like lightning. As Yafei's teacher, Xiao Yan's strength is naturally far above hers. The god of fire looks blazing red, but it is just a strange secret method, and its essence contains 2 fused fires, black and yellow fire and yin and yang fire. The Soul Palace Soul Envoy took the initiative to meet Xiao Yan's attack, which was really asking for his own death. With a sneer, most of the chained black snakes suddenly disappeared. This Soul Palace Soul Envoy is not weak. In this small Jiama Empire, it is not difficult to run unimpeded, but what Yafei and Xiao Yan have mastered has great restraint on it, just like the restraint methods used by the Soul Palace to deal with the soul body. How is this possible? The Soul Palace Soul Envoy couldn't believe it. The huge palm was like piercing through tissue paper, easily shattering the black snake chain condensed by the Soul Palace Soul Envoy. In an instant, the black mist surrounding the Soul Palace Soul Envoy was already quite weak, and even Yafei could easily kill it. One move was to severely injure the Soul Palace Soul Envoy, and the flame god's huge palm grasped the Soul Palace Soul Envoy like a chicken. The fiery huge palm of the flame god tightly grasped the soul of the Soul Envoy of the Soul Palace. Thick white smoke and screeching sounds suddenly emerged from the body of the black mist of the Soul Palace Soul Envoy, causing the Soul Palace Soul Envoy to let out a shrill scream that was as painful as the bone marrow. Damn it, what kind of method is this? Can it directly cause harm to the soul of my Soul Palace? Chapter 79 Mysterious Force, Soul Palace. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After burning for a moment, the soul became almost transparent, as if it would turn into nothingness at any time. Xiao Yan dismissed the flame god, took out a jade bottle from the Neji, raised his hand, and a suction force directly stuffed the Soul Envoy's soul into the jade bottle. Immediately, with a flick of his finger, a wisp of black and white flame circled the surface of the jade bottle, sealing the mouth of the bottle with this flame. Yafei turned her head and looked at Xiao Yan. Although she knew that this guy was very powerful and formidable, she was still surprised when she saw how easily he subdued the soul user. With the strength of that Soul Envoy, he has at least the strength of Do Wang level. Her beautiful eyes moved towards the mist in the bottle in Xiao Yan's palm, and Yafei frowned slightly. I thought it looked sinister and ghostly before, but I didn't expect it to be really not a human being. Xiao Yan looked deeply at the soul body in the bottle in his hand, and said with a smile, he came at the right time. Ghost things also have their uses. With the puppet-making method he mastered, he was able to create combat puppets comparable to the fighting spirit level, but if this soul body is used, the puppet's spirituality will be greatly increased, and there is a chance of creating a Dou Wang level puppet. In this way, it can be of some use in the Gamma Empire area for the time being. Yafei gently held Xiao Yan's arm, with a hint of crying in her voice. Also, if you had come a little later, I would have been caught by this guy. Yafei's plump appearance, combined with her plump and fair figure, made Xiao Yan feel hot in his heart, and he wanted to rub her into his arms. The holy demon soul burning technique practiced by Yafei is different from ordinary exercises. In addition to being a rare soul exercise, its practice method is also extraordinary. Yafei is usually responsible for the auction house's exercises, so she has less time to practice than ordinary people, let alone compared to those practicing geniuses. Therefore, while getting along with Yafei, Xiao Yan made some modifications to the holy demon soul burning technique. Every time Yafei frowns, smiles, and raises her hands, she is actually practicing, and it is a real technique tailor-made for her. There's no need to use this charm on me, otherwise I'd have to. Xiao Yan gave a bad laugh. At this moment, the previous movement caused the guards in the mansion to rush over. Miss Yafei. Brother Xiao Yan, please don't mess around. Yafei knew that the master in front of her was fearless, and her jade arms protected the waves in front of her. However, because of Yafei's movement, her emotions seemed to be a bit more violent, and her fair skin was rounder and brighter than the bright moon in the sky. Several guards came to the front of the hospital and saw the person next to Yafei. The guard leader realized that it was a false alarm. He cupped his fists and saluted and said, "It turns out to be young Master Xiao Yan. Everyone, please go down." Yafei waved her hand, feeling slightly relieved. It seemed that the soul envoy was quite confident in his own strength and did not deal with these people in her house. After everyone left, Yafei held her chin in her hand, stared at the jade bottle and said to Xiao Yan solemnly, "This thing calls itself a soul envoy, and says it comes from some soul palace. The Mitre family is aware of the power of the Jiama Empire, but they have never heard of the soul palace. Moreover, this ghost is extremely powerful and does not seem to be a power of the Jiama Empire. Have you heard of it?" Yafei frowned and said doubtfully. Xiao Yan smiled and shook his head slightly. "I don't know as much about the power of the Jiama Empire as you do." Yafei said worriedly, "This soul envoy seeks out the alchemist as soon as it comes. The soul palace where it is located is really bold. The inheritance of alchemists from master to apprentice is orderly. Even if it is a first-grade alchemist, few forces are willing to offend it." Xiao Yan waved his hand. "Now that it has fallen into my hands, sooner or later I will be able to find out what the soul palace is." Raising his eyebrows, Xiao Yan pushed Yafei's shoulder and said, "I came here just after I broke through. I'm a little hungry now. Go and make me something to eat." "I understand, Master Xiao Yan." Yafei responded with a sweet smile, twisted her willow-like waist, and walked towards the house. Those perky and plump buttocks, you can tell at a glance that they are fertile. Not long after Yafei left, a forest-white light and shadow cut through the night sky and slowly fell on Xiao Yan's shoulder. The person who came was the puppet bird Yao Lao was living in. "I know this soul palace." Yao Lao looked at the mist on the jade bottle in Xiao Yan's palm, smiled bitterly and sighed, "Oh, I didn't expect to see it in the Gemma Empire. How did they come here?" Needless to say. Xiao Yan walked to the pavilion on the side and sat on the stone bench. "You can only be a thief for 1,000 days, but there is no way to prevent a thief for 1,000 days. The soul clan behind the soul palace aims at all the ancient Tuasha jade. After 1,000 years of investigation, they will naturally find some clues." Yao Lao was silent for a long time, leaped to the stone table, looked at the jade bottle on one side, and then spoke again. "Little guy, I originally wanted to wait until you become stronger to tell you these things. But now they have appeared, and my original plan has been broken. If you want to know, then I can only tell you in advance. However, I have to remind you in advance that the forces involved behind this matter are too great. Your Yunlan sect, the strongest in the Gemma Empire, is nothing compared to it." Yao Lao sighed again and hesitated. "Even I find it extremely difficult. Are you sure you want to know now? Teacher, what you said is interesting. I don't know. Could it be that this soul palace is not looking for us? Xiao Yan shrugged. Instead of thinking about whether to tell or not, it is better to think about how to cultivate little medical immortals. First, let's increase the power within our own control. If the body's physique can be controlled, the growth rate will be terrifying. Even if it is promoted to Dozun, it won't take too long. Yao Lao couldn't help but be a little surprised by Xiao Yan's thinking. Maybe this is because he who doesn't know is fearless. He used to be at Dozun, and even the master of Xingyun Pavilion, but compared with Soul Palace, he was far behind. Children in Zhongzhou all know that the power in Zhongzhou is divided into 1 palace, 1 tower, 2 sects, 3 valleys and 4 square pavilions. Xiao Yan could tell by looking at Yao Lao's appearance that he disapproved of it, but if it's because the Soul Palace is too powerful, he won't make any efforts at all. He might as well just clean his neck today. In terms of teaching disciples, Yao Lao, an 8th grade alchemist, is indeed a good teacher, but in other aspects, if only Fan Yao could have made plans earlier and restored more soul power, he wouldn't have stopped at the sight of a bird protector. As a soul body, Lord Tianhua is enough to bring out the strength of the 8-star Dozong. The silence lasted for nearly 5 or 6 minutes. Yao Lao forced a smile and said, I have given you all the information about the Ernan poison body. It is up to you whether Xiao Nizi can grow up safely. Chapter 80 Soul Palace Level. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When it comes to the cultivation of the little Dr. Xian Ernan's poisonous body, Xiao Yan already has the pearl of wisdom in his heart. We are waiting for the little medical fairy to break through and become a fighter. Let's explore his physique again and we can have specific skills. I hear you sound so confident. It seems to be a very good cultivation method. Yao Lao smiled slightly. He also admired Xiao Yan's ability in this area. Yafei's qualifications are definitely a loser among losers. Xiao Yan actually found a new way and trained him to have such strength in less than half a year. With this alone, Xiao Yan has a teaching ability that surpasses that of his 8th grade alchemist. As soon as the words changed, Yao Lao returned to the topic of Soul Palace. Little guy, I have told you before that the Dou Qi Continent is vast and boundless, and there are many powerful people in it. A country like the Gama Empire that is far away from the mainland should not have a soul palace. This soul palace is extremely powerful and mysterious, and the way it behaves is also very weird. In fact, if you really asked me to say it just now, I couldn't say much. I only know that the goals of the soul palace are those who have physically died. But the living soul has an unusually powerful soul. After reading so much information in the past 6 months, you should know that when the soul power reaches a certain level, even if the body is destroyed, the soul can still survive. Xiao Yan nodded. I taught Yafei to let her follow the path of soul cultivation. The soul power cultivation technique is extremely precious. That little girl Yafei is really lucky. Yao Lao sighed in admiration, and immediately his voice suddenly became filled with anger and gloom. The Soul Palace is a force that specializes in souls. They are like soul scavengers on the mainland. Any powerful soul that has left the body will be sensed by them, and then they will send people to intercept and kill them secretly. I don't know why they specifically target soul bodies, but they have special means of restraining souls. Not long after my body was destroyed, I was surrounded and killed by them. Although I managed to escape successfully in the end, I was seriously injured as a result. Yao Lao said in a low voice, back then, I absorbed a lot of your fighting spirit because I was afraid of them. The reason why I want to be resurrected as soon as possible is because I have some grudges that I want to clarify and resolve. Since the teacher doesn't know much about the Soul Palace, it's better to torture the Soul Palace Soul Envoy. Xiao Yan picked up the jade bottle and took out the illusory soul body in the bottle with a touch of strange fire between his fingers. It turns out that you old man has been captured by the Soul Palace a long time ago. I advise you to release me as soon as possible, otherwise the Soul Palace will never let you go. The Soul Envoy of the Soul Palace glared at Master Xiao Yan and growled. Regarding this brat's threat, Xiao Yan was non-committal and said with a smile, I want to ask you a few questions now, and you'd better tell the truth. Hearing this, the Soul Envoy from the Soul Palace was startled. Do you really want to ask about the news from the Soul Palace? Ordinary people avoid them, but they actually dare to inquire about them. Boy, you really have the heart of a bear but the courage of a leopard. Don't think that you can be arrogant just because you have an old gangster by your side. The Soul Palace is going to destroy you. Before the Soul Envoy finished speaking, a wisp of forest white flame broke into Xiao Yan's black and white flames, and finally adhered to the Soul Envoy. The alternating heat and ice caused the soul to make piercing sounds, and the shrill scream sounded again. The flames slowly subsided after burning for about a dozen breaths. The color is dark white, a strange flame that combines extreme cold and extreme heat. You are Master Yao Chen. The Soul Envoy looked at the puppet bird beside him in horror. He didn't expect that the mission he originally thought was a sure thing would actually encounter such a big monster. Yao Lao snorted coldly. You do have some knowledge. Since you know my identity, answer my questions quickly. Otherwise, I will definitely let you enjoy enough pain before killing you. Hearing this, the Soul Envoy laughed and said, I'm not afraid of scaring you old and young to death. There are many levels in the Soul Palace. The Guardians are divided into 3 levels, heaven, earth and human beings, and I am under the Guardian. A Soul Envoy. On top of the Guardians, there are also high-status elders. Their strength has few rivals even if we look at the entire Dou Qi Continent. Yao Lao muttered, based on the strength of this little Soul Envoy, the protector of the Soul Palace should be at the Dozong level, and Zunlo is a strong Dozong. I think the master of the palace should be above Zunlo. Xiao Yan nodded slightly and added, above the elders, there is also Tianzuan. Thinking of the power of the Soul Palace, Yao Lao's heart sank and he asked again, do you know the purpose of having so many souls in the Soul Palace? The Soul Envoy said without thinking, I don't know. Our mission is just to search for souls, capture them to the Protector, and have them return them to the Soul Palace. As for what the Soul Palace needs souls for, no one knows. I'm sorry that you, a small character, don't know much. Where is your immediate boss? Yao Lao asked in a low voice. Now in the Jiama Empire, I don't know the specific location. He has been doing big things in recent years. Yao Lao squinted his eyes and said slowly, I guess you don't know about this important matter. The Soul Envoy glanced at the flames surrounding him, feeling the heat in them, his soul trembled slightly, and said honestly, I don't know. Yao Lao flapped his wings, and a strong wind suddenly blew up, blowing it back into the jade bottle. What a waste. Trash also has its uses. Xiao Yan smiled vaguely, tapped the ring with his fingers, and took out a pile of materials. Yao Lao glanced at the things on the table and said in surprise, Yafei, that little girl has taken out all the 5th-level magic cores that Shaonizi has collected with great difficulty. What are you going to do? Refining Dou Wang-level puppets. Xiao Yan said lightly, and a black and white strange fire suddenly rose in his palm, and a fine mineral material was calcined. He had a clear idea of what the guardian of the Soul Palace of the Jiama Empire was doing and didn't take it to heart. Yunshan failed to break through Dozong and was on the verge of death. It will take quite a while for Guardianya to recover from Yunshan's injuries. It will take a long time to help him break through the Dozong. Failure to break through Dozong will lead to a decline in strength. One of the effects of the Pazong pill is to stabilize the strength at the level before the breakthrough, not to mention that Yunshan almost died in the process of breaking through the seclusion. The situation will inevitably be more serious. Come and go. Several years is not too much. In a few years, the little medical fairy alone can grow from a fighter to a powerful master of the fighting sect. If Guardian Wu and Yunshan collude, they are really seeking their own death. Xiao Yan sneered in his heart. The temperature of the flames for calcining mineral materials suddenly increased, and his deep eyes became more focused and serious. The materials and manufacturing methods used in puppet manufacturing are 2 key factors that determine the quality of the puppet. With the help of the soul body of the Soul Palace Soul Envoy, the puppets he makes this time will not only be more powerful, but also through this forging experience, he can confirm some of his usual assumptions and break through the bottleneck of puppet manufacturing in order to create more advanced puppets.